Hey, this is Garrett Gunderson, and on this week's episode of The Drop-In, I'm having a conversation or presentation for a group called Renatus, which is a real estate investing group that I'm an instructor for. And I'm going through the biggest investing mistakes and really differentiating between investing and gambling, because a lot of people are taking too much risk and speculating, and it's costing them money over the long term. And getting into three-dimensional investing, which has to do with cash flow, equity, and being related to it for personal fulfillment. More importantly, making money on the buy, how you become profitable and cash flow from day one, or find in times of distress like today how you can make sure to salvage and solve someone's problem, but be profitable with what you're doing by doing that. We're talking about the biggest marketplace's advantages and how to think about money and investing in general. And ultimately, this is going to be about becoming a better investor. So enjoy. Your ability to add value to the world, your ability to serve others, your ability to solve problems is the key. Thinking that another entity, whether it's a corporation or a government, is going to save you is never going to be helpful. The question is, what is it going to take for you to become financially independent? Well, you have to leave the system of indoctrination. People think this is weird, but I don't read, because when I read, I'm being indoctrinated by people that want me to believe they have the answers instead of me having my own answers. We have to listen to our intuition again. We have to figure out what our skill sets are. When we think that someone else is going to do it because of a degree, no matter how advanced, a lot of times those degrees, look, I got a finance degree, and half of what I learned wasn't real. It was written by Wall Street trying to indoctrinate students so that they had an army of customer service reps to get people to believe if they hand over their money, they'd become wealthy. It hasn't worked. We could look at this in medical. There's tons of people in the medical field that got advanced degrees, and guess what? They're customer service reps for Big Pharma. Their patients come in telling them what pill they want because they watched some commercial that says if they take it, they won't have allergies. Sure, they'll lose their left leg, but don't worry. You'll lose it while you're frolicking through a field of flowers. This is what we're dealing with. Opt out of that system. Take responsibility. Invest in yourself. Stop listening to the outside noise and start listening to what you can do to add value to your life and the life of other people around you. So what does that mean? Don't watch the news. Cut off your news feeds for all the different things that are going to try to derail and distract you with the next pandemic, the next monkeypox, the next who knows what they're going to invent. Anything that can get you to be controlled by fear, they're going to come up with, because it's the only power they have. But again, if you opt out of that system and you invest in yourself, you become financially independent, you don't have to listen to that anymore, and you can be a shining beacon of light, of an example of what other people can do as well, because nobody believes it's possible for themselves. They believe it's not possible because enough people haven't done it around them. And enough people are going, I'm scared enough that I just want to have my medical insurance paid for by a government. I'm scared enough that I just want to know that, someone will subsidize my housing if I can't afford it. I just want to know that, all of that is fear. But here's the bottom line with that fear. If we can't provide it for ourselves, you think the government can provide it? How can they provide it? What are they doing? How are they? That's why there's incentives in real estate, because they've admitted they can't provide enough real estate. If you're a real estate professional, you get massive tax write-offs to incentivize you to go out there and build that kind of stuff. Again, there's a role for the government. Unfortunately, they've overstepped that bound, and the same thing happens with us if we spread ourselves thin, if we get outside of our investor DNA, if we start chasing returns at the expense of becoming a better investor. We have that same problem. And the bigger problem is if we start focusing on everything that's wrong instead of making things right with ourselves. So let's see here. Let's see what's coming up. Powerful presentation, agreed. I'll have what Garrett's drinking. Hint water. Water infused with peach essence. That's some BS marketing. Essence. By the way, why does everything we buy in the grocery store have an origin story now? Is it just so they could charge us twice as much? It's always about this wonderful family bringing this great taste to our mouth at twice the price. It's come on, just get over it. That's ridiculous. So, energy. Super powerful, high energy presentation. Okay, so any questions anyone have so far? We're talking about the first wealth framework. Financial independence doesn't require 30 years, doesn't require handing over control of your money, doesn't require diversification. There isn't someone that's brilliant at this that just does it for you. You figure it out yourself. You educate, you increase your mental capital and your relationship capital, and you focus instead of diversify. Become a better investor, because risk is not in the investment, it's in the investor. That's why you could buy real estate from someone that lost money and you can make money with it, because you know how to add value. You might know how to do fractionalized ownership. You might know how to do a lease option or seller financing. Or you might know the 3 rooms that if you fix up, add more value to it. Or maybe it's that needed a washer and dryer, or it needed internet. Like, there's just things that people don't think about because they're so stuck in scarcity and they're not problem solvers. So they end up just going, I don't know what to do, I give up. And that's why there's tons of opportunity out there. Now, what's coming up is plenty of distress. And this is where you can really help people out. People are over leveraged, they overconsume. They bought things based upon low interest rates, not understanding it was more than they can handle. And rather than have that go straight to the bank, if you know how to reach out to these people, if you know how to find them, you know how to market to them, you can actually have them make something rather than nothing, and you end up with a lot of profit rather than watching the banks decimate that because their short sale departments suck, their foreclosure departments are horrible. And so I think right now is a big opportunity to help people, because people got over leveraged and they had a lot of free money that's gone away, and all of a sudden they found out some of that is taxable. Like, there was just a lot of stuff that happened, again, because of a lack of responsibility. Responsibility is the least sexy thing to talk about, but the most powerful thing that brings about prosperity. Prosperity and responsibility are married. You cannot take away one and have the other. It is absolutely required. And anyone else that tells you different is selling you something that's not good for you in the long run. That's the bottom line. What would you say to a young person who is a W-2 and doesn't afford creating a life insurance yet? Yeah, that's fine. Just get some term insurance. You could always convert it. But the ultimate thing is, take a percentage of what you're making and invest it in your skill sets. Find whatever side hustle you can create, whether it's within real estate and Renatus or whatever you can do to add extra money in a way that's actually compelling and enjoyable to you. I mean, look, I've never had a job since college, but like, I look at so many things of what I did as a side hustle, whether it was comedy, whether it was writing, whether it was speaking, and I just took portions of my income and I put it into developing those skills. I was not a good writer 15 years ago. I would consider myself a top tier writer now. I was not a good speaker 20 years ago. I would consider myself, other than I talk too fast, a pretty good speaker, right? So, but that didn't come accidentally, it came intentionally. I started to take my interests, my hobbies, the things that I was engaged with, and I invested in myself. Hey, pardon the interruption, but I've got a gift for you. Actually, 2. Killing Sacred Cows, my New York Times bestseller, hit #1 on Wall Street Journal, and my most popular book of all time, What Would the Rockefellers Do? Killing Sacred Cows is like a permission slip to have more success and avoid the missteps and myths around finance. And What Would the Rockefellers Do is taking these kind of big billionaire technology and ideas and bringing them to the masses. So it's a step-by-step financial system where you can start with as little as I did when I was 19 at $50 a month. So if you go to garrettgunderson.com/offer, give me your email address, and I'll just shoot those books right over to you so you can enjoy and learn at your own pace. I took a leap of faith in myself rather than handing my money over to other people. I'm not buying more real estate right now. I'm not putting money in any other investment other than my own intellectual property, because that's my game. That's my investor DNA. So I had Disrupting Sacred Cows came out this year is a book. I have Money Unmasked coming out next year. I've got I Am Money, which is a kid's book, coming out next year. I've got a digital course coming out next month in October called Win Then Play. My comedy special got picked up and premieres December 8th. Those were all investments. Those are investments based upon who I am. Who are you? Like, some of you are just brilliant at aspects of real estate. Double down on that. Invest in that. Become extraordinary at something. Think from a world-class level instead of a measly level of just enough. What if you went all in on yourself? Most people are afraid to take that leap. They're not willing to do it because what if it doesn't work out? I'm here to tell you, it will be checkered with mistakes. It will have moments where you go, oh, that wasn't the right thing to do, but that's part of the lessons. That's part of the life. That's part of the learnings. Don't define yourself by your mistakes. Define yourself by your vision, by your real value. Discover your worth, not based upon your net worth, but based upon who you are and what you contribute and the quality of life that you live. All right. 2 questions. Please tell me what you see happening in the real estate correction as an overall economy. I'd also like to know your advice on how to best navigate and thrive in it as an investor and a realtor. Can you talk about insurance term versus better insurance? Okay. So first off, I'm just going to be really candid. I've been really good at predicting stock market cycles. Really good. I have not been as effective with real estate. Like, real estate has variables that are a little bit harder for me to predict. When interest rates change, it makes a big difference. But also when people exit big cities to go more rural, that's something that's unexpected during a pandemic. When there's Airbnb that starts to happen and then maybe it's outlawed, that changes how real estate starts to become valued. You know, usually we see big indicators of what's happening in the more luxury markets where someone has a second or third home will start to decline before other areas. But the factors are beyond my sense of knowing what's going to happen. I think that I couldn't have believed that we would have the run-up we had in 2020 and 2021. But at the same time, low interest rates are going to artificially create that. Free money is going to create that as well. And we have to realize the banks got a boatload of cash through quantitative easing. I didn't know quantitative easing was going to happen. So there's so many variables out there. So many variables. And it's even what kind of like state are you in? Are you in a Democratic state or are you in a Republican state? You know, those kind of factors. But I am doing a lot of deep dive data search with a company that does data mining. And we're looking specifically at Florida. I think Florida is going to be in trouble. I know a lot of people went to Florida. I know there's been a lot of attention in Florida, but we're already seeing people late on payments. We're seeing people go on to public forums and talk about the difficulties they're having. So I think that it's a time that there's going to be massive opportunity for investing, but intelligent investing is going to be required, because this isn't the time where people just buy and it shoots up regardless. This is the time where you have to get really knowledgeable about what you do, and it's outside of my investor DNA. If you like the energy of the drop-in, where you actually got to see me in a conversation where I was interviewed, or I was actually at a venue where I was speaking to a group of people, there's a certain energy that comes from that. So if you'd like to see another segment where we pulled it from a speech right here in the comfort of wherever you're watching this from, well, click this next video now.